And the thing that I'm telling people for the most part is I don't want your religion. I don't want your help. I just want you to leave my people alone.
And then he can stand on his own 2 feet like others. Then if the black man, the black leadership, who has access to all of this money and has all of these degrees today, can't use his talent and his know-how to set up business opportunities, job opportunities, housing opportunities for the black people, the same as the white leaders have done for white people, then these black leaders need to get off the boat. They're not leading our people toward any kind of independence, but they're using their positions and their education and their talent to exploit our people worse than the slave master did during slavery.
You know, they always tell black people to get their stuff together, but every time we...
But you know, there used to be, after the World War I, black communities were thriving in America. In fact, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a community called Greenwood, which they used to call the Black Wall Street. And they had things in their community that the whites didn't have. They had indoor plumbing. Whites didn't have it yet. And they would keep the money circulating in their own community to where a dollar got spent 100 times before it left their community. Well, the whites got sick of that shit. And they burned down their fucking 35 square blocks. They burned it down. 300 people died in 1922. So that really happened in Tulsa. They eliminated and that happened all over the country. That's just one example. There's an 8-page article I just found that has one example after another. That's just one. Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, did not know that they had a more advanced society than the white people. The whites got pissed off. They said a black kid assaulted a white woman in an elevator, and so they went and burned down all their houses.
To be perfectly honest, even though I got enough degrees in human behavior and dynamics and sociology, I don't even understand that thrust. Because, see, integration itself is countermanding any possibility of you ever acquiring power and wealth. You cannot empower yourself at the same time you integrate. Integration, Paul, means disintegration. It means reducing yourself to a micro-spec. Because, see, in a society where the majority will win and rule and the minority will lose and suffer, why would anybody want to integrate? Integration is making black folk a guest. Integration means I will make you a guest. I will make you a guest in something that's owned and controlled by other people. I'll make you a guest in white suburbs, in white schools, in white businesses, in white organizations, in a white government. See, black folk can never acquire wealth and power as long as they're integrating. And what's going to happen, though, with this whole concept of integration, it's going to hold blacks in abeyance until these other groups, competing groups, come in and wipe them out and push them into a subclass structure. Now, you mentioned the busings, for instance. See, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen happen. See, my family, as an example, was a part of the family that owned the only black bus line that you've ever had in America. The only black chartered bus line you've ever had in America. And that was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That was a safe bus company. We didn't have just 1 bus, 3 buses, 5 buses, or 10 buses. We had over 500 buses. And our buses didn't just service the black neighborhoods. They serviced the black neighborhoods and the white neighborhoods, period. We put the white bus company out of business there. I mean, that was the Duke Power Company. Duke Power Company, named just like Duke University, and Duke Electric Company. We put them out of business because we ran a very competitive bus line. Now, our bus line was vertically integrated for black folk, which gave us a power base, a wealth base, an employment base. We hired our own people. We bought our own buses, repaired our own buses, operated our own buses, had our own drivers, our own mechanics, and we serviced both neighborhoods. But what put us out of business was not our inability for us to compete. It was the fact that blacks decided to integrate down in Montgomery. And when Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks integrated the buses there, rather than going in and buying the bus line from the whites and taking it over and operating it under black control, they decided that it was much better in the context of integration, which was social. Let's just socialize with whites. If whites are sitting on the front of the bus and we sit on the back, let's move up front with them and let's integrate with them. Let's intermix and make it a social issue. And so black folk then moved from the back of the bus to the front of the bus. Like, who really cares?
There is a growing number.
But let me finish the point now. Now, here's what happened now. When that movement moved up to North Carolina and came to North Carolina, the blacks in North Carolina said, we also want to sit on the front of the bus. And in North Carolina, we said, but we don't have any white buses you can sit on the front of the white bus. They said, well, why don't you all get some white buses so we can sit on the front of them? So our bus company went out of business. So then they brought in white buses. Now whites run the bus line. And the same thing happened to our black cab companies and our black movie theaters and our black restaurants. Everything black went out of existence because black folk see integration as being a social issue and somehow they feel if they get closer to the white society, they're elevating their status, and they're not. They're disintegrating.
You said earlier that you felt that integration was one of the worst things that could have happened to black folks.
It is.
And you speak a language now that certainly, at a minimum, talks about a total reliance on self.
Yep.
So does that equate to a form of separatism?
Well, if you had a child, Rock, that stayed in your house and wouldn't leave for 500 years, right? Would you respect that child? If you know that that child, in order for that child to live, it needed you. If it was hurt, you need their food, their electricity, their hospitals, everything about them. It doesn't really matter what that child says to you, does it? Because they have to do what? Come back to you. Right. See, the thing is, before we can be respected by anyone, everything that I'm telling you, the answer to everything that you asked me today is self. Religion, socially, business-wise, it doesn't matter. Until we get ourselves together, it really doesn't matter. Like, it is all about self. And then when people, it's so funny, and this is one thing that I hate about America. Because I love black people, don't mean I hate anybody else. And for me, you have little China, you have little Russia, you have all of these little subsections of America. Why can't we have little Africa? It's not that I don't want you, but I'm just trying to get myself together. But we spend trillions of dollars. If we got ourselves together, that's going to affect them financially. And what did I say that white supremacy hate? The loss of finance or the loss of life.
If white immigrants can come to this country 50 years ago with nickels and dimes and no education, and come here and pool their little nickels and dimes and no education, and set up little stores, develop these stores into larger stores, develop this into an industry which creates job opportunities for whites. Since Lincoln was supposed to have freed the black man 100 years ago, and today the black man, according to the government economists, has spending power of $20 billion per year. We feel that with the black man spending $20 billion a year, not setting up any businesses, not creating any industry, not creating any job opportunities for his own kind, he's not in a moral position to point the finger today at the white man and tell the white man that he's discriminating against him for not giving him a job in factories that he himself set up. If the black man has $20 billion, and these so-called Negro leaders are such geniuses that they can integrate white restaurants and integrate white factories and force themselves into that which the white man has set up, they should use this same ingenuity to show the black people how to pool our wealth and set up something of our own.